Chosen ones, the moment someone dares to mess with a chosen one, they are not simply picking a fight. They are unknowingly signing a spiritual death warrant. They walk around thinking they are untouchable, believing that their schemes, lies, and venomous plots will be enough to bury you. But here's the brutal truth: you are never standing alone. God has always been standing beside you. The wicked often forget that while they are busy digging graves for the righteous, they are actually preparing their own downfall. Did you know that 92% of people who conspire against others eventually face severe consequences? Whether it's karma, divine justice, or the crushing weight of their own self-destruction, it catches up with them. And when it comes to the chosen ones, those odds rise to a guaranteed 100%. Trying to harm God's anointed is like kicking a wasp nest and foolishly hoping the swarm won't notice, but it always notices. The very act of plotting against you is what seals their fate. While they are busy setting traps and weaving their web of destruction, God is behind the scenes sharpening the tools of divine justice. So what happens when they dare to destroy someone who is divinely protected? Their plans will not just fail, they will backfire so severely that it might just become the last mistake they ever make. Stay with me, because what comes next will leave you questioning why anyone would ever be foolish enough to come against the chosen. Number 1. The mirror effect. What they send your way never simply vanishes. It returns, multiplied, stronger, and far more destructive than they could ever handle. Energy functions like a mirror. It reflects whatever is projected. When someone directs hatred, jealousy, or harm toward a chosen one, that energy doesn't just disappear into thin air. Instead, it gathers momentum, grows heavier, and returns as a force too powerful for them to contain. They think they are aiming all that negativity at you, but in reality, they are setting themselves up for their own downfall. The universe is governed by a law of balance. What you give is what you get. But when someone targets a person protected by divine forces, that balance doesn't just respond. It tips swiftly and with devastating impact. Chosen ones walk with spiritual immunity, an invisible armor that doesn't just block negativity, it actively reflects it. Every attempt to harm you becomes a boomerang, returning with greater force. The more they throw at you, the more they are struck down by their own energy. They set the trap for you, yet they are the ones who inevitably fall into it. The irony is, they don't even realize the truth until it's far too late. What they're sending out is tainted, poisoned by their own chaos, fear, and brokenness. They are not merely throwing hate, they are hurling every fragment of their unresolved darkness. When it bounces back, it magnifies their inner turmoil, ripping apart their lives from the inside out. Their obsession with hurting you becomes the very cause of their undoing. They cannot stop themselves, even as everything around them begins to crumble. They believe they are fighting you, but the truth is they are battling their own demons, amplified by every attack they launch. It becomes self-inflicted destruction, a raging fire they ignited but cannot extinguish. Meanwhile, the chosen ones, they keep moving forward untouched while the flames consume everything behind them. Number 2, God's justice is a surgical strike. When God moves to defend his chosen ones, it is never random or reckless. It is precise, calculated, and unrelenting. Divine justice is not some broad, scattered punishment. It is a targeted strike aimed directly at the source of harm. Every plot, every scheme, every attack that rises against a chosen one is met with a response so exact, so tailored, that there is no room left for coincidence. The very thing they believed would be your downfall becomes the very weapon of their own destruction. This isn't mere karma or blind luck. It is a carefully orchestrated plan. God does not simply react to events as they unfold. He sees them long before they begin. Their every step is already numbered before they even take the first one against you. The traps they set, the lies they tell, and the harm they intend, all of it is laid out before God like an open book. Yet, instead of stopping them immediately, he allows them to walk deeper into the web they are spinning for themselves, decision by decision, step by step. The punishment that follows isn't random or mild. It strikes exactly where it hurts the most. For some, it may be the sudden loss of power or the crumbling of their reputation. For others, it could be the deterioration of their health, the collapse of important relationships, or the complete loss of control over their lives. The unraveling is personal and deliberate. cutting deep into the very things they hold dear. The more they resist, the harsher the blow becomes until all that remains is the undeniable truth. They have been stopped by a force far beyond anything they can fight. For the chosen, there is no need to retaliate. They do not have to lift a single finger because God's justice requires no assistance. It moves on its own, exposing every hidden agenda, dismantling every lie, and breaking down every attack with surgical precision. And when the dust settles, there is no mistaking the outcome. Their destruction wasn't a coincidence, it was divine, deliberate, and absolutely deserved. Number 3. You are a living antidote to their poison. As a chosen one, you carry a rare and powerful energy that naturally disrupts anything built on lies, manipulation, or darkness. You are like an antidote, moving through a system filled with poison. Your very presence neutralizes harmful forces around you, without you even having to lift a finger. This is not something you asked for or something you try to do consciously. It is simply who you are. The light within you exposes the shadows in others, forcing them to confront their hidden flaws and deep insecurities. And for those who operate from places of malice, envy, and bitterness, your light feels like a threat they cannot ignore. But here's the twist. Their attempts to harm you only make things worse for them. The more they come for you, the more their own toxicity is dragged to the surface. You are not just surviving their attacks. You are unintentionally reversing them, triggering a chain reaction that dismantles everything impure within their plans. They are left confused, unable to understand why nothing they do ever works, why their lives spiral out of control the moment they set their sights on you. The reason is simple. You are not fighting them on their level. You operate on a frequency they cannot touch. They are playing a game they were destined to lose because they don't even realize the rules are rigged against them from the start. Trying to destroy you is like trying to poison medicine. It only weakens the poison itself. Every attack they launch is dismantled the moment it touches your energy, and all that is left is the backlash of their own hatred. The harder they try, the worse it gets for them. In the end, their obsession with your downfall becomes the very cause of their own destruction. And you? You didn't even have to retaliate. You didn't have to acknowledge them. The strength, purity, and divine light within you were more than enough to protect you. And for them, that's the most unbearable truth of all. Number 4, their obsession with you is a self-inflicted death. When someone becomes consumed with a chosen one, they unknowingly initiate their own slow and painful destruction. Obsession is not just an emotion, it is a poison. It begins subtly, with small doses, a jealous thought here, an envious glare there. But as they continue to feed it, this fixation grows, slowly taking over their mind, their time, and eventually their entire life. They become so consumed with you that they can no longer focus on their own growth or the blessings available to them because they are too busy plotting against yours. What they fail to realize is that this obsession traps them in a cycle they cannot break. The more energy they pour into trying to harm you, the more spiritually and emotionally depleted they become. Their thoughts spiral into bitterness, their actions grow reckless, and their intentions become so deeply corrupted that they lose sight of everything else. They stop living for themselves and start living solely for your destruction. Yet here's the irony. You remain untouched. While they are busy plotting, their own life begins to unravel. Their fixation blinds them to their own weaknesses. They spend so much time watching you, competing with you, or envying you, that they neglect their responsibilities, damage their relationships, and destroy their own well-being. The hatred they direct at you doesn't wound you. It feeds back into them, corroding their peace of mind. They lose sleep, they lose focus, and eventually, they lose control. Over time, their obsession isolates them, leaving them trapped in their own misery. There is no satisfaction left in their lives because every moment is spent measuring their failure against your success. What they cannot comprehend is that the more they fight against you, the more they are battling themselves. Their energy, once directed outward, turns inward and begins to consume them from the inside out. In the end, their obsession becomes their ultimate downfall, a slow, agonizing, self-inflicted death, all because they simply could not let go of you. Number 5. God, the ultimate trap setter. When people plot against a chosen one, They believe they are the hunters, but in reality, they are blindly walking into a trap set by God Himself. God does not merely shield His chosen from harm, He masterfully turns the very schemes meant to destroy them into bait. Every lie, every betrayal, every evil plan becomes another step, not toward the chosen one's destruction, but toward the downfall of the wicked. And the most remarkable part? They don't even see it coming. The beauty of God's traps lies in their subtlety. He allows them just enough room to believe they are winning. He lets their plans unfold just enough to give them false confidence. They convince themselves that their schemes are flawless, that somehow they have outsmarted divine protection. But while they are busy digging a pit for you, they fail to notice that they are standing right on its edge. The harder they push, the deeper they fall, and their arrogance blinds them completely to the signs all around them. Divine intervention is present and obvious to those with eyes to see, but they are too consumed by their obsession to notice. What they don't understand is that God's traps aren't about sudden or dramatic punishment. They are about slow, inevitable unraveling. God patiently allows their own choices to lead them directly to the place where they will stand fully exposed and at the mercy of His judgment. And when the trap finally springs shut, the collapse is devastating. Their plans shatter, their alliances crumble, and the truth rises to the surface in ways they never anticipated. What they meant for harm becomes the very thing that destroys them, while the chosen one walks away untouched, stronger, and even more protected than before. God's traps are not simply about justice. They are about making a statement. He does not just defend His chosen ones. He makes sure the entire world witnesses that no one can outmaneuver divine will. And for those who dare to try, their downfall is not only inevitable, it is fully deserved. They underestimated the invisible shield surrounding you, and now they are left to face the consequences of their own making. Number 6, they underestimated the invisible shields. When people target a chosen one, they foolishly think they are dealing with just an ordinary person. What they fail to realize is that they are up against an entire unseen system of protection that they cannot touch, predict, or understand. It's not mere luck or coincidence that their plans constantly fall apart. It is the invisible shield surrounding you, working tirelessly to block every attack before it even gets close. These shields are not simple or shallow, they are multi-layered. First, there is your spiritual armor, the strength that flows directly from divine favor. This isn't something you had to learn or put on. It is something you were born with. It acts like a force field, deflecting negativity with ease. No matter how hard they try, their hatred, envy, and schemes simply don't stick. Then comes divine timing, which ensures you are always positioned exactly where you need to be. It's as if the entire universe rearranges itself just to keep you out of harm's way, causing their plans to crumble before they even have the chance to take form. Beyond that, there is the power of ancestral prayers and blessings, words of protection spoken over you long before you were even born. These prayers are like deep roots planted firmly beneath you, anchoring you through every storm and strengthening your shield against any attack. What those who plot against you cannot see is this entire spiritual infrastructure working behind the scenes. All they see is the growing frustration as every one of their attempts ends in failure. They may believe their plans are flawless, but they are constantly being intercepted by forces far greater than themselves, dismantled before they even leave their hands by powers they don't even believe in. The more they try, the more their own weaknesses are exposed, while you remain untouchable. What drives them mad is the mystery of it all. They cannot figure out why nothing works, why every effort collapses. But the truth is simple. You are surrounded by shields they will never understand, let alone break. Number 7, chosen ones are sacred territory. When someone comes after a chosen one, they aren't just making a poor decision. They are committing a spiritual offense of the highest order. You are not ordinary ground to be trampled on. You are sacred territory. Attempting to harm you is like barging into a holy sanctuary with filthy intentions. It's not just wrong. It's a direct challenge to divine authority, and the consequences of such an act are devastating. Chosen ones are marked, set apart, and protected by forces far greater than anything seen by the human eye. That mark is not just a symbol. It is real, and it signals to the entire universe that you are untouchable. When people ignore that mark and still try to bring you harm, they are not merely dealing with you. They are dealing with the one who marked you. It is spiritual trespassing, and it carries a penalty no human can outrun. The tragic part is most of them don't even realize what they're stepping into. Blinded by envy, hatred, or greed, they convince themselves they're simply targeting a person. They are completely unaware of the sacred laws they are violating and the boundaries they are crossing. But ignorance of these laws does not exempt them from the consequences. The moment they act, they trigger forces far beyond their control. And these forces do not punish randomly. The punishment is swift, severe, and frighteningly precise. Their health suffers, their peace vanishes, their plans crumble, and the harder they push, the harder they fall. That's because they're not just battling you. They are contending with divine will itself. Sacred ground cannot be desecrated without a price, and when they attempt to harm a chosen one, they seal their fate without even realizing it. This has nothing to do with revenge, it is divine justice in action. You don't even have to fight back. You are already protected by the very laws of the universe and the Creator who established them. They crossed into holy territory, and the price for that will always be more than they can bear. Number 8. Their destruction comes in layers. When divine retribution begins to move through someone's life, it is rarely immediate. It is a slow, calculated unraveling, unfolding one painful layer at a time, each stage more devastating than the last. The very first sign is always the loss of peace. What once felt like a secure and stable life quickly turns into constant inner turmoil. They wake up restless, go through their day distracted, and no matter how hard they try, they cannot find calm. That quiet loss of peace is the first signal that divine justice is already in motion. But the unraveling doesn't stop there. Once peace is stripped away, the next layer begins to peel, their relationships. Slowly but surely, the people they once trusted begin to drift away. Friendships grow cold, marriages become strained and distant, and alliances that once seemed unbreakable begin to fracture without warning. Everything they had built to feel secure starts crumbling, leaving behind only the hollow shell of what once was. The strong foundation they thought would always hold collapses under the weight of their own actions, and they are left confused, unable to understand why everything is slipping through their fingers. Yet, the most devastating blow always comes last. After peace and relationships have been stripped away, it is their health and legacy that begin to crumble. The stress and anxiety they carried for so long start to manifest physically. Illnesses surface unexpectedly, and their bodies become battlegrounds for the chaos they have created. As their strength fades, so does their influence. Their name, once respected or feared, becomes tarnished. Their achievements are forgotten, and their legacy dissolves into nothingness. Each layer of destruction reveals just how deep the damage runs. It is not a sudden collapse. It is a slow, agonizing breakdown that leaves them face to face with the truth. They are reaping exactly what they have sown, and by the time they realize it, it is already too late to stop it. The more they push, the faster it unravels, and there is no escaping the consequences. Number 9. The more they push, the more they suffer. The more someone resists God's plan, the tighter the grip of their own destruction becomes. It's like trying to outrun a force that is already far ahead of them. With every attempt to push against what is divinely ordained, they unknowingly pull themselves deeper into the snare of their own suffering. Their efforts to harm, manipulate, or control only serve to worsen their situation. Each attack they launch is like pulling the rope tighter around themselves, accelerating their downfall. They may deceive themselves into thinking they are gaining ground, but in reality, every move they make speeds up their collapse. What they fail to grasp is that resisting divine will doesn't just cause failure. It brings unbearable pain. When someone fights against a plan that has been set in motion by forces beyond their understanding, they aren't simply opposing a person. They are challenging the natural order of the universe itself. And the cost of that defiance is always far greater than they can anticipate. The harder they push, the more they lose. Peace slips through their fingers, relationships crumble, and both their mental and physical health begin to deteriorate. Their very act of resisting God's will not only leads to failure but magnifies their suffering, making it unavoidable. The cruel irony is that the harder they fight, the faster they fall. Every attempt to destroy you or to defy divine order only adds fuel to their own destruction. They waste all their energy waging a battle they are destined to lose, while the universe's plan continues to unfold without resistance. They think they are winning, but by the time they realize the truth, the rope is already too tight, and the consequences are sealed. The more they resist, the quicker they descend, until all that remains is the harsh reality. Their struggle only dragged them deeper into their own downfall. Number 10. They are fighting forces they cannot understand. In their arrogance, they convince themselves that they are fighting you, that you are the obstacle standing in the way of their goals. They believe that if they can just destroy you, they will finally win. But what they fail to realize is that this battle was never about you alone. They are not fighting just a person, they are fighting forces far greater than anything they can comprehend. Divine forces have been at work long before they ever plotted against you. They are up against a power they cannot see, cannot understand, and certainly cannot control. This is not a battle of intelligence, strength, or strategy. It is a battle of divine will against human arrogance. Every attack they aim at you is intercepted, redirected, and neutralized by a force they cannot even begin to recognize. While they believe they are clever, plotting and scheming in secret, the truth is, from the very moment they targeted you, they set themselves against something far beyond their reach. The battle was never balanced, they never stood a chance. Their efforts are futile from the start because they are opposing a plan that has already been set into motion by the Creator himself. No scheme, no manipulation, no force of theirs can outsmart God's will or overpower divine protection. The more they try, the more they expose their own ignorance. They don't just misunderstand you, they misunderstand the very nature of the battle they are fighting. They are not simply battling you, they are standing against the Creator, and that is a battle no one has ever won. In the end, they will be left broken, defeated, and bewildered, wondering why nothing they did worked. The answer is painfully simple. They were never fighting you. From the very beginning, they were fighting against divine forces that operate on a level so far beyond their understanding that they never stood a chance. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.